AI is incredible. It can teach you how to fry an egg and even write a poem, pirate style. Yarr! But it knows nothing about your work. Slackbot is different. It doesn't just know the facts. It knows your schedule. It can turn a brainstorm into a brief. And it doesn't need to be taught. Because Slackbot isn't just another AI. It's AI that knows your work as well as you do. Visit slack.com/meet Slackbot to learn more.
Almost 80% of Americans feel stressed about their money. Fruitful pairs you with a real human financial guide who sets up and automates your entire financial life. When your paycheck hits, everything flows where it should. No stress, no spreadsheets, just progress and peace of mind. Learn more at Fruitful.com.
Madison Beer, Iocket, album review. Let's talk about it. How y'all doing? Welcome to Let's Talk About It Music Reviews Season 12. How y'all doing? Welcome to the show. Guys, we got a pretty good episode for you today. I'm out here in the snow. The snow's kind of calmed down. It's sunny outside. It's just got to get a little bit warmer and the snow will go away. But guys, it is the perfect temperature. No winds in the air today. We might as well talk about this album. For the past last week and the last weekend, I've been listening to this new album by Madison Beer. This album's called Iocket. This was teased all the way back in the beginning of summer, around like the August time. This whole album called Iocket was. They said it was going to come out in January. Now, I heard a long time ago, it was around like December and that kind of January time, but, now it's January in 2026. Going into this album, my expectations were nothing crazy, because this is honestly my first time really diving into Madison Beer's music. That's what she's kind of gotten, trending on Twitter all the time. And, when pop artists actually catch that break, it's usually when I start, checking out the music. Which, really when they catch that break, that's when I usually check out the music. And we got a few pop artists, now in 2026 that we will probably be checking out when they drop new albums. But let's go over how I do my album reviews. Usually we're going to go over 3 overall points about the project. And then we're going to dive in and listen to and review every single track. Talk about every single track off the album. And then I'll score 1 out of 5. And then at the very end, I'll give you my final album review score at the very end. Let's get into this album, Madison Beer, Iocket. Going into this, I didn't have much expectation-wise, about her sound. The only thing I had was her first single. And overall, her first single wasn't too bad. I know I didn't really like it that much. I will be honest with you by the time I was hearing it. But, as I've listened to it a few times, it's not a bad single. So let's talk about this whole album. First point about this album, I really do overall enjoy the production. I like the lo-fi kind of drum elements that this whole entire album has. I like how there's some R&B elements that are kind of in here too, with those background vocals, the synths, and all that stuff that just really sounds fire in my opinion. And overall, I would enjoy, this production because it has so many R&B elements, but it also has that kind of drum and bass kind of dance elements that are also baked into this whole entire album. And I kind of like, how tracks, go from, that normal pop sound to maybe, switching it up, maybe doing like a chopped and screwed effect. All those really cool things that are in this album. So I like how all varied the production is. I like how, it all comes really together. There was a couple of tracks where it's just, the piano, and that's kind of it. But even when those, it's just a piano, at least you have some kind of like drum and bass drums in the background really doing its thing. So I'd say overall, Iocket's production was definitely top notch. I overall enjoyed as much as I was hearing off this album. Now let's move on. Now Madison Beer's vocals on here, I'd say are absolutely top notch. I was actually kind of surprised, how well she was singing on here, whether that's, doing kind of the low dark notes that a lot of pop, music has been having lately, doing that kind of more that.
As a contractor, I don't pay for materials I don't use. So why would I pay for stuff I don't need in my mobile plan? That's why my Biz plan from Verizon Business is so perfect. Now I can choose exactly what I want, and I only pay for what I need.
Right now, with my Biz plan, get our best price, as low as $25 a line. Visit Verizon.com/business to get started today. New lines only. Price per month with 5+ lines. Includes auto pay and paper-free billing and promotional discounts. Taxes, fees, economic adjustment charge. Applicable add-ons, prices, and terms apply. Guarantee applies to base monthly rate and stated discounts only. Add-on prices additional. Offers in March 31st, 2026.
A lower tone, which sounds really fire in my opinion. And I'd say the singing, there's moments where, Madison Beer will kind of, switch it up. More moments where she lets the vocals shine, really do their thing, and really, just go crazy. So I overall enjoy what I'm hearing vocal-wise. And I'd say Madison Beer's singing is pretty fucking good. I mean, there is a couple of tracks where, she's kind of letting, a lot of the auto-tune and kind of the computer kind of, layer her voice and really do its thing. But that's when you're doing more kind of dance, kind of synth wave, like drum and bass tracks. So you only really hear that on those type of tracks. But, the other tracks, she's kind of killing it, really singing her ass off, having these vocal runoffs, really going crazy on this album. So overall, it's a pretty net positive that she, goes crazy on the vocals. Now, my final point about this album that I'm going to have to say is that this is why I like Madison Beer's newer music, or, music now, the flow. The way that she's flowing on these tracks go absolutely insane. There's a moment where she'll have this flow, and then she'll sing and switch it up with this flow, and have all these different flow switches that just keep each track off the album just fresh to listen to. There is moments where, hooks will kind of repeat, will kind of copy and paste, have that kind of feeling to them, but I like how the verses always, at least have a vocal switch up here, maybe you'll have a flow switch up here, just something to keep fresh off the album. You have a lot of that on this album, and for like a short, 11-track album, that's pretty great in my opinion. Those are my 3 overall points. Now let's go over every single track off this album. We're going to rate it 1 out of 5. This album is 33 minutes long, 11 tracks. Let's start off with the first track called Iocket Theme. I really like how Iocket Theme has a nice build-up to it. Those synths sound really powerful. I like the kind of violin textures that are in this album. And the singing on here is really fucking good. So overall, I'd easily rank Iocket Theme as a pretty nice intro to the album. Probably give it like a 3 out of 5 to start out with. And then we dive right into the next song, which is Yes Baby. Good intro, but a nice single to start off this album. As I was re-listening to Yes Baby, I'd say Yes Baby, with all the dance kind of, drum and bass elements that this song has, I'd say it's decent overall. Not my favorite song off this album. Vocal style is definitely left, I want more from the vocals, I'll be honest with you. The vocal style is not my thing. But it's a decent track. I give it a 3 out of 5. Now, Angel Wings. Angel Wings right here is the next track off the album, and I'd say, this one actually has a lot to it. I love that R&B, pop type beat. It sounds really good. The drums are really good. The singing's really good. I like all the different flow switches that are in this song. This one's an easy 4 out of 5. For the Night's the next track. This is kind of slowing down. You have more of those kind of piano elements in here. But I'd say the singing for the Night is actually really fucking good. So I'd say For the Night's going to get an easy 4 out of 5 too. Bad Enough. Bad Enough, this track's kind of slow to get into. And I didn't know I was going to like the drum style that much. But as my third time coming around to it, I'd say this is a decent track. I like the drum style. I like how the synths sound. I do like the vocals on here. So not my favorite, but it's decent. 3 out of 5. Healthy Habit. Healthy Habit, I'd say, is a decent track. I like the production on here. I think the production actually stands out really nice. It has that kind of dance vibe to it. And then the hook, I think the hook is really addicting to get into. So 4 out of 5. You're Still Everything. I think this track right here, I'd say if we want to go vocal-wise, if you want us to talk about what's the best kind of performance vocal-wise from Madison Beer, it's going to be this track right here, because this track has all the vocal bridges, this has all the, the vocal switch-ups, this has the moments where she kind of holds her notes out too. So this one's an easy 4 out of 5 also. Bittersweet. Bittersweet, in my opinion, is still a really good track. I think how the hook really, gets stuck in your head, which is nice. And I like those drums. I like how the drums are kind of different. They don't sound like your normal kind of pop drums. They actually have a kind of like a weird, delay to them, but as the delay kind of clears up and gets going, these drums really speak to me. So I'd say Bittersweet would get an easy 4 out of 5. Complexity is the next track, and Complexity I didn't really like because the vocals feel
This episode is brought to you by FX's The Beauty Official Podcast. Join host Evan Ross Katz on the official podcast for FX's hottest new series, The Beauty, taking you behind the scenes with its amazing stars as they discuss the show's most jaw-dropping moments. Featuring Evan Peters, Anthony Ramos, Jeremy Pope, Ashton Kutcher, Rebecca Hall, Bella Hadid, Meghan Trainor, Isabella Rossellini, Jessica Alexander, and Ari Grainer. Search FX's The Beauty wherever you listen to podcasts.
I had that dream again. My small business needs to hire, but I don't use LinkedIn, and I hire wrong. So our orders get all backed up. We're drowning in paperwork, then actually drowning. Carol is fighting off sharks with a stapler, and pirates are pillaging the office copier, and then I wake up.
Don't let hiring nightmares ruin your dreams. LinkedIn Jobs' new AI assistant goes beyond the resume, using unique insights to deliver a smarter shortlist. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/quality. Start hiring today with LinkedIn.
A little too echoey. That's my real big complaint about this song. Too echoey, and there's not enough to the instrumental that really made me have a good time. So this one's just a 2 out of 5. Make You Mine. Make You Mine is actually pretty good because the singing on here is absolutely top notch. I think the singing is one of the big moments in this album. Make You Mine has a beautiful hook to it. I give it a 4 out of 5. And then the final track off this album, Nothing at All. Pretty nice track to end off this album. I don't like how it sounds, kind of like bittersweet. I wish there was a track that, could have stand out on its own. But I'd say Nothing at All gets the job done. Nothing really bad to it, but, I wish it was a more decent track to kind of end off the album. It's just kind of okay. Nothing crazy, so I'd probably just give it an easy 3 out of 5. When we talk about Madison Beer's new album, Iocket, this is a pretty nice, good album to really get people on your music. I know this album was trending when it first came out. That's a pretty nice sign that it's trending on something, that it's really doing its thing. This is a pretty nice 11-track pop album to really just kind of throw on and listen to. It's got those dance tracks. It's got those tracks you kind of just want to put on when you want to cry. It's got those tracks that kind of have that R&B and kind of pop vibe going for them. So overall, I had a pretty good time listening to this album. Hell of a better time than some of the other artists that I've checked out on this show pretty recently. But yeah, I'd say Madison Beer had a pretty good run, pretty nice fucking album. And I'd say for the first album review of 2026 off this show, I'd say we're starting off pretty fucking good, which I do like. So overall, I'm easily going to give this album an easy 7 out of 10. 7 out of 10, guys. What y'all think about it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? I don't know. Let me know. If you're on YouTube, Spotify, Pandora, wherever you get your podcast at, make sure you follow, turn on notifications, guys. We're dropping new content every single day. And thank y'all so much for checking out this podcast episode. We got more album reviews coming out the way. We got Young Boy next, and I'll see y'all later. You have a good one.
This podcast is brought to you by Carvana. Selling your car shouldn't feel like a second job. It should feel easy. With Carvana, it is. Just visit Carvana.com, enter your license plate or VIN, answer a few quick questions, and get an offer in minutes. Like what you see? We'll pick it up right from your door and hand you your check. No haggling, no hassle, no problem. Car selling made easy on Carvana. Pickup fees may apply.
Yeah, guys.